Also, it happened many years ago. In 1992, it still gives me nightmares. It was my second summer at 60 Mile Enterprise, a small placer mine in the Canadian Yukon, bordering on Alaska. Gold under my seat, best forgotten. I was just about to take off on one of my routine shopping trips to Dawson City when I heard someone call my name. My boss dashed out of our gold room, a wooden cabin opposite the camp's main building. He waved in my direction. At the same time, he pointed to a white canvas bag he cradled in his other arm and ran towards the van. Caught up, he handed me the bag of gold dust and nuggets, estimated worth $30,000, which had to reach the buyer before 2 p.m., and the money was to be transferred into the bank by 3 o'clock. He added, "Take this straight to the buyer before picking up your grocery order, the mail, newspapers, and the ordered parts at Finnings. I promised to drop off the gold before running my errands." As always, I looked forward to the adventurous drive over the top of the World Highway with its magnificent panoramic view of mountains and deep valleys, a break from my everyday routine. I pushed the heavy bag under the front seat so no one would suspect me carrying such precious cargo. After all, I was only the cook. From time to time, I reassured myself by reaching back, my shoe touching the gold, determined that it would reach its destination on time. The road narrowed to a stretch of new gravel, and one little sharp pebble punctured my right front tire. The same had happened to me 2 weeks ago, but a good Samaritan from a nearby highway crew, repaid by a homemade pie, had changed my tire and put the spare on, which now left me without one. A new set of tires was waiting for me at the garage in Dawson City. Frustrated, I jumped out, kicked the offending tire, which hurt my big toe. Next, I limped around the lopsided vehicle. A big gulp of the fresh mountain air brought me to my senses, and I vented. This isn't funny. What to do? What are my options? And calm down, think. I need a plan. The gold had to reach the buyer. I eyed the bag under the seat, tried to move it, but realized it was too bulky and heavy to conceal under my windbreaker. Thus, to accept the ride with a stranger was out. Straightening up, I knew there was only one thing to do, to drive on, even if it meant it could ruin the wheel rim. Several cars stopped to offer me a ride, but I politely declined. "Thank you, I can't abandon the van." And with a forced smile, "Thank you for caring, please don't worry about me." A concerned tourist asked, "Do you realize how far you still have to go?" "Yes, I know. I'm about halfway to Dawson, probably another 50 kilometers. Shaking his head, The man turned to his wife. This must be what they call cabin fever. Pushed, no doubt. And they disappeared in a cloud of dust. On I went, bumpity-bump. I fought the impulse to look at my watch. Instead, I concentrated on navigating safely around the narrow, very curvy mountain road and to avoid getting too close to the edge. More than one vehicle had tumbled down those steep slopes, some only discovered days later. I repeated my mantra, concentrate, one more corner, one more curve, don't get too close to the edge, easy does it. Another car stopped. By now, sick of the attention I attracted, I said, maybe you could stop at the garage in Dawson and let them know that I'm on my way. Tell them they have to change my tires as soon as I get there. And on I went at a speed of 5 to 10 kilometers per hour, back muscles tight, knuckles wide from gripping the steering wheel. An hour later, I came to the last hill on the road. Like a mirage, I saw a tow truck coming towards me. Hallelujah. The tow truck driver got out and mentioned that an elderly couple had told them about my predicament. His boss decided I needed rescuing. While the van got hooked up to the tow truck, I retrieved my cash as nonchalant as possible from its hiding place and heaved it on the rest of my belongings onto the floor of the big truck, scrambling after them, wishing I had longer legs. Names were exchanged and questions like, where do you come from? Dave, the driver, answered, I just moved here from Victoria, BC. Really? We are practically neighbors. My home base is Powell River, BC. A strange look came over his face. That's where I'm from. Since no one knows where Powell River is, I say Victoria. Dave admitted this rescue mission was a welcome diversion from his 7 days a week mechanic job. We laughed and swapped stories. Downhill, I spotted the 8-car ferry leaving the opposite shore of the Yukon River. By the time we would reach our side of the river, the ferry should be in. With the end of the journey in sight, relief swept over me. My tense back muscles started to relax. My clenched fists, stiff from tension, opened up. 1 hour left to deliver the gold. Notify the bookkeeper and the bank. Our paychecks would be in by today and outstanding checks covered. To get from the sandy shore onto the ramp proved no problem. I was grateful to the kind tourists who, by sending help, had spared me the humiliation of going bumpity-bump onto the ferry, where everyone knew me. And even worse was the thought of having to limp down Main Street. How embarrassing that would have been. We reached our destination with only minutes to spare. I placed a quick phone call from the payphone to inform a reluctant gold buyer to meet me right away at the garage. It just couldn't be helped. He had to come to me. To try and reach camp was useless, no one would be in. The rest of that exciting and exhausting day, after entrusting the gold to the buyer, is a blurred memory. An enthusiastic crew and a relieved boss welcomed me back. They had heard about my bumpy ride from our bookkeeper in Edmonton and how, despite all the trouble, I delivered the gold on time.